up, guys? In this video, I want to try to talk about, what they call the female gaze versus the male gaze. This is basically like what women notice when they look at men and what they're attracted to versus what men are, impressed by when they see other men doing it. So I actually want to start this off by like some recent story that happened and what got me thinking about this. So I was walking, and I saw this security guard outside of this building who was like absolutely jacked. His arms were so big, it made me think this guy might even be on steroids. And he had this really tight security uniform on. I could be wrong, maybe they just couldn't find him a bigger size, but it looked like he intentionally made it big like that, or small, so that his muscles could look big. And he was walking slightly with a swagger, I think. And it got me thinking about something. I was like, this may sound odd, but I think that I tried to look at it from a female perspective, and I thought this guy might actually creep women out. And I think a lot of men think, okay, you go to the gym, you get these big muscles, and then you do something masculine like join the military or something like that, or what this guy was a security guard, and then women will be attracted to me. I think that's how men think, because other men think it's cool to be in like kind of masculine role. I'm not saying necessarily that security guards are thought of as cool, but a lot of men think it's cool to be in the military, be a police officer, and be jacked, But I actually thought women might look at this guy and think, okay, this guy is trying to get muscles so that he can get women, and he's trying to do a security job role because his masculinity is kind of fragile, which could scare women, because women they don't want you to have this deep expectation that all women will like you just because you're jacked, right? And muscular. Like, that can scare women away. Women never want to look at a man and think, okay, this guy expects to get women, because that's scary. Because if they end up turning him down, then he might freak out. He might get angry. And I went and talked to a family member, a female family member who's a little bit older, and they also thought the same thing. Like, if there's some dude who's completely jacked and borderline on steroids, it can kind of look like he's being mathematical about it. Like, he thinks that because he has the X muscles and a super cool car and blah blah blah, that he can get women, and that scares women. So I think that it's kind of a paradox, but you got to do things to be attractive, but at the same time you can't expect women to like you, because like I'm saying, if there's any expectation, they're gonna feel afraid to turn you down. So a lot of men might think, okay, those muscles are cool, he's jacked, and that is cool for us, right? But the woman doesn't know. And like I'm saying, there's nothing necessarily wrong with being jacked, hitting the gym. But a lot of these times, I feel like dudes who try to give off this masculine aura, women can sense. They feel like this guy thinks that he can get women. And if he doesn't, he might get angry, right? Especially, if you're in a really masculine role. Like, if you did come from the military, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like it can scare women away, because they don't know whether you did that stuff just to get women, right? And they can sense it once they get to know you, right? So if you're not that way, they will figure it out. But I'm saying it can be scary, and I do think that a lot of men get into that type of way. They think, okay, if I can just get jacked, if I can just get a cool car, if I can just make $150K a year, then women will like me. And then women sense that the men have this expectation to get women. It scares the women away, and then the men go, oh, I'm not jacked enough, I don't have a six-pack, I need to make more money, I need to do this. But the whole time they're just scaring women away, because they feel entitled. And I get it. I get it that if you're a more handsome, conventionally attractive guy, you have some logical entitlement. I understand that. You know, some levels of entitlement is logical. If you're handsome and you make good money and you're a nice dude, I understand why you'd be slightly entitled to feel that you can get women. It's logical. But at the same time, you got to set that pride aside, and you got to have almost no problem getting turned down by a 6, getting turned down by a 5, getting turned down by a 6 out of 10 attractiveness, because it's not necessarily mathematical. You can't put X plus Y and think that you can get a woman, right? And women will feel safe like that if your ego is not burned from getting turned down by a 4 out of 10 attractiveness girl. Don't get your ego burned. Just move on. Be chill about it. You know, I know it's hard. No man wants to get turned down by a 4 out of 10 attractiveness girl. And no man wants to feel like he built his whole life up, you know, built the muscles, built the, you know, career, blah, 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 and the woman still turns him down. No man wants to feel like that. But the reality is that if you feel super entitled, I think women will pick up on that, and it's going to be scary for them, right? Because, yeah, okay, maybe women do like muscles a lot of the time, but if they think that you did it just out of insecurity, it's going to be scary, because they don't know. They don't know if your masculinity is so fragile that you're going to blow up and use those muscles to beat their ass. You know, they don't know, right? Hold on, let me take a sip. I got this little recess mood. I like these, bro. Magnesium, calm down, help me calm down after having caffeine. So anyways, I think women a lot of the time will look for different things. They look for how well you can connect with them, how calm you are, lack of entitlement. So this means if you ask them on a date and they say no, okay, you're just gonna move on. Or you might try, but it's not because you need them. You're just having fun, trying to get them out on a date. So I think that's where the female and male gaze is different. Men think, they look at a man's car, they look at his, you know, muscles, they look at his wristwatch, and they think that's awesome. But women, I don't think necessarily look at that. They look more about how can you connect with them. Are you calm? Can you read the whole field in the social situation and know everything that's going on at the same time? Because if you can hold a lot of information in your head and not get overwhelmed, that makes you a good leader. Such as like being able to interact in a room of 10 people and kind of know everything that's going on at the same time. Like know okay, that person's having that bad day, that person's having a good day, these two people are dating, those two people are dating, that person likes that person, you know, this, you know, you just kind of know what's going on. And so yeah, I could be wrong about that security guard. Maybe he's a super cool dude. I could be wrong, but I'm saying that's how women can see it. So being like, okay, I'm gonna go get jacked and show off my muscles to the world, it can actually creep out women. So that's why I almost think that, yeah, that's how I think a lot of highly successful men can actually creep women out, because they're too mathematical and logical with it. They're like, oh, if I get the muscles, if I get the income, then I can get a woman. And this scares women, because women don't want you to feel that there's an expectation that you can get them. So I know, like, that I'll keep repeating myself, I know it's kind of a contradictory, but you got to do things that make you attractive, but at the same time you got to have lower expectations. You never know what's going to happen. Women are a little bit different. A 2 out of 10 woman might turn down a 10 out of 10 attractiveness man. You never know. It can happen, right? And okay, maybe from a man's perspective we'll see it as illogical, but so that's why I think men gotta cool it on the manosphere stuff, right? You gotta cool it. It's like as kids, you know, I remember being a kid, if I liked a woman or my friends liked a woman, we'd like jump off like the playground, like monkey bars, and like land on our side and like try to hurt ourselves. We thought that if we can just show how ballsy we are and how much pain we can endure, then the girls will like us. But you can't transfer that into your adulthood. And that was funny, but you know, but yeah, I think this one is gonna be good. I just saw a post of my friend. He's like overweight, really overweight, and a short dude, and he got married to a really attractive woman. You know, he's a nice guy. He's kind of got charisma, and he's got some confidence. Maybe he's insecure deep down about his weight and height, but he married a thin woman. It can happen. He's not that tall. He's probably like 5'6", 5'7". His wife is like the same height, you know? So, yeah. All right. You'll make women feel a lot safer. Have a good day. Peace.